Think the Palestinian flag is just a symbol of freedom? Think again. Behind its colors lies a decades-long campaign to manipulate the West, foment destruction, and advance a political agenda that denies Jewish history. And now, Western governments are bending to the mob, falling for propaganda, and even declaring they will recognize a Palestinian state. They aren't correcting some supposed injustice. They're feeding a movement that will eventually turn on the very civilizations that embraced it. Today, we're exposing the truth behind the flag that's suffocating Western capitals and why understanding it matters more than ever. And welcome back to Judaication here on JNS TV. My name is Josh Haston, correspondent for JNS News. We are in Jerusalem at the JNS Media Hub. And folks, we're going to try something a little different today. The first time that we're having multiple guests on the show. You might know both of them because they have been on the show before. We have to my left, Tila Falek-Levy. She's an activist, philanthropist.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Spends time in Miami and Jerusalem. And to my right is Gedalia Blum, dedicated advocate for Israel and founder of the Heartland Initiative, an international public diplomacy platform building bridges between Israel and global allies. Welcome back, Gedalia.
Thank you. I also spend most of my time in Eli, but also Jerusalem.
Eli and Jerusalem.
You have Miami, I have Eli.
So we have two proud.
Exactly the same.
You have beachfront, I have the waving, I have the rolling hills.
Perfect.
But you're both proud Judeans or Samaritans. That's really the point.
It's funny, Binyamin doesn't get a good stake in the whole,
It's just too long. Benjaminite. It's hard to say. It's
Southern,
just say you're a Judean.
Southern Samaria, Southern Samaritan or Samaritan. Anyway, let's get to some of the top stories from this week. Number one, the government of Israel says it's going to Gaza City to wipe out the last Hamas stronghold. We'll start with Tila. Ladies first, your thoughts on the proposal there by the Netanyahu government.
My thoughts is that we have to trust our government. And if the government believes that that is the next step, we should have faith that that should be the next step. And I think that by giving support and giving that strength to the government, we're supporting our soldiers, we're supporting our people. God willing, we'll be able to bring back our hostages, finish off Hamas, and those are the main goals for this war, and bring everybody home as safely as possible.
Gedalia, what is your take? Is there anything different really to this latest proposal by the government in terms of advancing in Gaza?
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, there's no good options. So it's kind of like, what do we do if we don't, what happens if we don't do it? Okay, a video just came out today of a teacher in a classroom in a safe zone where Hamas does not exist anymore. And you know what she's teaching the kids? About respecting human dignity, teaching about women's rights, what your liberties are. She wasn't talking about any extremism. She actually called out Hamas on video. They did this whole, so this is what we see what Gaza looks like without Hamas in a very small classroom setting. If this is what it means for us going in further into Gaza City and finishing the job of Hamas, then of course, it's a no-brainer. Of course, it's going to be very difficult.
I don't think that the world realizes at the end of the day, Israel is allowing the Gazans to be free of Hamas by coming in there full force and getting rid of them. This isn't so much about Israel as it is for the Gazan people. So if people really care about humanity and really care about liberating people from the oppression, Israel is not the oppressor. Israel is the one that is coming to redeem them, and they should be grateful. And the world, unfortunately, doesn't see it, but they should be more understanding.
That's a nice thought, and I'll tell you, the other side of it is that they were voted in, Hamas was voted in by the majority.
Back in 2000.
There was celebrations and candy throwing. The kids, schools were off on October 7th celebrating it.
But there's a fear factor too, because if you don't join them, then you're against them. Yeah, your life isn't fair.
You know what? The jury's out, and we'll figure it out after Hamas is out, and we'll see what kind of reforms, if any, there are that are self-imposed.
The Middle East looks different already. And hopefully they could see what are the benefits of joining something like the Abraham Accord, having peace with Israel. We already see what it looks like. So hopefully the people there, at least the young people, the next generation, will choose to have a better life.
Let's hope. Tila, you mentioned the world community and their reaction to Israel. So far, you've had the UK, you've had France, you've had Canada, now Australia saying that they are going to recognize a so-called Palestinian state, essentially rewarding Hamas for carrying out the October 7th massacre. Hamas themselves thanked these countries, saying, you guys basically are praising what we did. You're giving us recognition. for carrying out the October 7th massacre. Hamas says it themselves.
I think your answer is in the question, meaning, yeah, Hamas is the one that is recognizing, thanking those countries. And if you look at those countries, they are getting a bigger and bigger extreme Muslim population. The Muslim population is not a problem. The extremism is a problem. So it's almost like if you don't join them, you're in trouble. I think that's what's happening. I think there's a fear factor even in these European countries. And instead of going against them, they are scared from what could happen from within. When you have 100,000 people marching in Australia
In Sydney.
for Gaza, you understand that there's a problem within their own society. So that problem is going to show up when they start understanding what's going to happen to them as a society, and when their freedom of speech and their freedom of democracy and their freedom of women and children and all of humanity starts to be infringed upon, and when they can't drink and when they can't dress when they want, that's when it's really going to affect them personally. For right now, I feel like they're just choosing a side that's more convenient so that they don't have riots from within. And in a bigger picture, it's what's happening in Gaza too. So I'm hoping that people will take the bigger step and a leap of faith into actually making a change. And at some point, when you see the results on the ground, it speaks for itself.
The most disturbing image for me was seeing them carrying a placard of the Ayatollah himself in that Sydney march. Did you see those images?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is so multi-layered. I mean, you can't look at this in one lens. You could look at it. I'm very close to some people in the French government. They say Macron doesn't see Western civilization as having a future. So that he's looking to pivot in order to see who's going to be winning. You want to be, it's just like, because they're weak countries, just like all weak countries are always looking. Look, for us, we align ourselves with America. If God forbid America wasn't around, we'd probably be aligning ourselves with China because we need that big, so it's the same thing with Macron. So that's on the state level. What you're saying, there is a state takeover, though. There are the Muslim Brotherhood, which thank the Lord, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is now pushing legislation to outlaw them. But their plan is state takeover. It's been going on in Europe. It's going on in America.
They say it very openly. If you listen to what people are saying on the street, what they're calling for and what they want, Sharia law, listen to what people are saying, and their leaders are not listening. When Hamas is congratulating them, and when their people are saying that they want to push the Sharia law, or even extreme Muslim communities within these European modern countries, I don't think the Europeans are going to take it. At some point, they are going to realize, hey, we don't want this. This is,
you know what? Let's hope. There was a study that was done that looked over 100 years of revolutions, of people who were active. They hit the streets. What percentage do you think of people need to hit the streets in order to change policy? Quickly, give me a number. 20%, 50%, 60%, whatever. 4%. 4% of the people need to be activated, meaning you can have Qatar bankroll a whole demonstration with media, people in the street, as they're doing.
Yeah.
And then the leaders are like, wait a second, we can't ignore this very loud voice. They don't realize it's a minority that's been orchestrated by foreign actors. So the question is not what these foreign leaders are going to do about, we're saying recognizing a Palestinian state. The Palestinian state is a symbol of destruction of Western civilization. It's the people who live in France, people who live in England, people who live in Australia, who don't prescribe to what's going on here. They're the silent majority.
That he can't drink alcohol anymore because that's
not even that. But it's not even about drinking. It's about your core values of what builds your civilization, what you see. So what I'm saying is like this, is that you have a silent majority of people who are scared, they're self-censoring themselves, and these are the voices that we need to elevate. We need to speak to those people, that if you think that you're going to sit back and someone else is going to save your civilization, no. And this is why, when it comes to like Tommy Robinson, for instance, he's a very controversial figure in the UK, but he's gaining a lot of attention because he is fearless in England and speaking the voice of trying to save Western civilization. They're calling him a Nazi, but he sits with Jews and he supports Israel. And it doesn't really make sense. And I think we have to look at what he's saying and what other people, we need to create more of an environment that people are not self-censoring themselves and that they actually stand up and say, no, enough is enough.
I agree 100%, but I also think there's something else. many times you see that there's a small minority that's making a lot of noise, and the media gives them that platform. We saw it with Black Lives Matter. We saw it with the Me Too movement. We see how the movements are basically the same people that keep changing their message. And it's not changing the people. It's the same people that are marching for different causes. And they're a small minority. Sometimes in some places it's the students. In some places it's in the outskirts of the city that come into the city. I think that there still is a majority of people that are supporting democracy, freedom of speech, Judeo-Christian values, Western civilization, and the ones that are making noise are making a lot of noise, and they're getting a platform because the media wants the drama, wants the ratings. They're being heard, but it doesn't mean that they're the ones that are actually tipping the balance. And the pendulum swings.
No, but my point is with the 4%, the 90% of the
You
other people,
activate them.
they become irrelevant unless you speak.
Well, not everybody's willing to take to the streets, one. Two, people do things in different ways. There are activists that are actually activated already, but they're not going to go to a protest or an encampment and go marching in the streets.
We have jobs.
They have jobs. They're philanthropists. They want to give their money where money matters, not to start, fueling these marches. So just because that's what you're seeing and what you're hearing, I'm not convinced that that's 100% what's happening.
Yeah.
That being said, by the way, just turning to France here, you had two different incidents involving El Al Airlines in France. The first one was apparently someone over the system, the communication system between pilots and the control tower, yelled at an El Al pilot saying, "Free Palestine." I don't know if you heard that. And secondly, there was a report yesterday saying that the government of France has decided they're going to take away the visas from El Al security personnel so that they can no longer work in that capacity in their country. I mean, I don't know what their plan is. Are they going to
That's where
shut down El Al?
Israel, the government needs to step in, because this isn't like a El Al versus the country or the president. This is where public diplomacy matters, or where Israel's going to have to take a stance. And really, if El Al is no longer going to fly, or if we're pulling certain diplomats or certain level meetings or working together, listen, Israel has a lot to offer the world. That's why the people aren't on Israel's side because they love Israel only. It's because Israel has a lot to offer.
It serves their self-interest.
100%. So if they want this exchange of intelligence, and if they want to continue working and having the business channels open and diplomacy open with Israel, this is where Israel's going to have to take a position.
If you knew how bad the European intelligence are when it comes to extremism and jihadism, you wouldn't believe it. I've had conversations with people who are inside intelligence agencies within certain Western countries with a very large population of Muslims that they don't know their names, they don't know anything. They are scared. There's a reckoning.
Till there's something happening at the Eiffel Tower, till there's something happening at the Louvre.
Israel
because it's gonna happen.
but Israel's tapped into
100%.
it. And so if they want to go and say, listen, we see there's an uprising in against Jews in France, and so instead of building up more security, we're going to take your security away.
Listen, I'm not in government yet, neither are any of us. Maybe one day we will be, but this is where Israel's going to have to say, that's okay. You don't want to let us provide security for our
We won't provide it for you either.
No problem. You won't get it either. And there's going to be something has got to give. Thank God Israel on the world stage has a voice, has a platform, has great diplomatic ties. I really believe in our government. They're going to have to do something, because you want to pull Israeli Airlines out of France, that's okay. It comes with a consequence.
But,
Jewish blood is not cheap.
No, but by the way,
we're going to fight back.
Right, but there is a large Jewish population in France, so we can't leave them out. We should actually have the same arrangements as we do with South African Jews, where South African Jews actually do not rely on the police, their own security. They have their own security. And so we relay any intelligence and back and forth with them.
But Israel can also strengthen their flights to a nearby country, and the Jews of France or anybody that wants to travel. Not everyone has a direct flight. Having a direct flight is a luxury. But if they don't have a direct flight, or if they don't have a stopover in Paris and they need to go somewhere else, that could be provided. They'll figure it out.
But the point is, we're getting into these details. The real big picture is that they are turning into, as far as policy is concerned, an Arab country. And I don't mean all Arab countries, UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, even.
They're modern.
They have banned the Palestinian flag, because they know what it means. And when you say the air traffic controller
they spoke out against the Palestinian state in the United Nations.
Yeah.
So if you're not listening to them, and this is their, let's say their court to be making calls, if we're not listening to what the Arabs themselves are saying about their neighbors and their family members, there's a problem. But something's got to give. And France is playing a very, very ugly game of hardball, and I don't think they're going to win.
The real problem is when the Western world thinks they know better than the locals here in the Middle East. I think that has been a problem for so many years.
Well, that existed
That
forever.
mentality,
People need to listen to what's coming out of people's mouths. If you listen, they're very clear and it's very, very honest. And believe them when people say they want to kill you or they want to take over your country.
But it's not about that. Every country has their own self-interest. So what exactly is France's interest by just trying to erase our...
To quiet their Arab population.
Right. And so...
To keep them happy.
And so maybe there is some quarter leverage as far as public diplomacy is concerned, is to say, listen, you know, you're not going off a cliff yet. You're almost there. We could save you from it. We've been dealing with this. This October 7th that we faced, that you're now saying that we're committing, it could happen anywhere. You have no-go zones in France. Like, forget, you know, Belgium. There was a video just came out with a woman being beaten on the street because she wasn't covered properly. They have this like Sharia police. Like, this is happening now, and it's not there. It is reversible. Let's just say that. And if they think that they can do it without the help of Israel and intelligence, then they're fooling themselves.
It's getting pretty close to not being reversible. It's almost there.
That is true.
It's almost there.
Didn't you hear when Huckabee said that he agrees that there should be a Palestinian state
in the French Riviera?
In the French Riviera.
Yeah,
go ahead.
exactly.
That's what you want.
It should be you know what? It should be a Franco-Palestinian state, and we should call it Frankenstein.
I heard that too. Yeah. And you know what? That's great, but I'm not going to visit anymore.
We're going to switch topics here. This was a big story over the last several days. The UJA Federation of New York has decided they are going to allocate $1 million towards the Gaza humanitarian effort. I was personally very, very upset about this. And in all fairness, people have said to me online, you know, at the same time, you have to realize Israel is also giving millions of Gaza. So number one, I want your comments on this story. And I want to try to understand the difference between a nonprofit Jewish organization in the United States giving $1 million or allocating $1 million to Gaza, and the difference between that and when the Israeli government decides that they're also going to provide humanitarian aid. Who wants to start with that?
This is your territory.
I know you were very upset.
I haven't lived in America in over 20 years.
So that's the thing. Many, many Jews in America that are unaffiliated Jews feel very comfortable making their check of $365, $1 a day, whatever it is, to their local federation, and they think they are being a good Jew. And they are. Honestly, anybody who gives money to a Jewish cause, that's great. You cannot write them off. The thing is that when you're a federation where people are trusting you with their money to allocate their funds in a way that would benefit Jewish people, I think that they are actually being disingenuous to their own donors. Now, of course, there are boards and there's people that are deciding this. It is not the same to give charity than to give humanitarian aid. Humanitarian aid is a diplomatic arrangement on a level that regular people are not privy to. Governments make decisions and agreements that I don't have all the information, so therefore I don't have an opinion. When it comes to federations, I know how philanthropy works. And when people are taught from a young age to give money, to give of yourself to your brothers and sisters, this is a misuse of funds. And I'm sure that there are many Jews in the United States that would be okay with giving their money to helping Gazans. That's fine. That's not my calling. But you have to be clear on that. You should have a specific campaign. We are raising money for Gaza. But to take money that's sitting in the bank that somebody gave you, whether it's $1 or $1 million, and allocate it towards a war where your brothers and sisters are at risk, where our hostages are not being fed, where our soldiers are being attacked on a regular basis, is chutzpah. That's the word. I think that it's...
Was this exposed, or did they announce it?
It just came out this week.
I think they announced it.
Were they proud of it?
I think they're proud of it. There's many,
okay.
There's many Jews in America that want to do tikkun olam.
It was under the radar, and it just came out this week publicly.
Okay, it just came out publicly.
Yeah.
This is what I call virtual signaling, okay? $1 million is nothing when you're talking about this situation. It's a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. I don't even understand how exactly they think that they're going to be doing anything with it.
Widows, orphans, people in Israel would benefit from $1 million.
Displaced
it's
families.
nothing in the big picture, but
it's fine. But it's not even about that. First of all, who are the donors to these organizations? Are they the dollar a day, or are they the George Soros? I'm going to give you $30 million and whatever it is. And are they actually pushing.
I'm not sure, but when you call yourself a Jewish federation, you are representing Jews you're representing Jews in your city, in your state. It's okay to have tikkun olam and want to help people abroad, not in a natural disaster, but in a conflict where your people are the victims, your people were attacked, your people are suffering. It's disgusting, honestly. And whoever is giving away that money to our enemies, I think there's a very special place for them in history because it's called a self-hating Jew. The capos were there. There's always been self-hating Jews in every Jewish conflict. There's been Jews that have fought on the wrong side of history. History will tell its story and time will tell. But we shouldn't forget this. And when we give our money, it's very important. Know where every dollar is going, know who you're giving it to, and ask questions. Yeah. That's on you as a donor. Right. The organization is going to do what they want to do. And hopefully, as somebody that gives money, you hope for an organization to give your money in the right way possible. But it's your money. Do your research. You do your research with everything else. But this is really important.
But that's a good point, though, because now that it's bringing to light, now there's sunlight on this. Let the people of the Federation, what is it, New York?
New York, Jewish Federation.
Of New York. Let them all know. Let them all know that this is where the money's being allocated.
A lot of these Jews are the same ones that voted for Mamdani. Honestly.
Okay. So you know what?
That they picked
you know
their
what?
side.
So you know what? That's fine. But they're not all of them. And I'm telling you right now, is that throughout time, we're seeing that Jewish organizations are going further away from actually being Jewish. And there's got to be a reckoning of people who are proud Jews that are.
They always come back to tikkun olam. Tikkun olam is a beautiful thing when you can help other people.
It's a nice
There's
thing.
Also something in the Torah that says to destroy Amalek.
But when you're tolerant to the intolerant,
kill you, you should kill them first.
Yeah.
These people rose to kill us, and we need to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm not a warmonger.
Well, to be fair, they're not giving the money to Hamas. They're giving the money to civilians.
You don't know where the money is going because it's all being stolen right now. Right, so the truth is you don't know where the money is going. They don't know where the money is going. Yeah. If they wanted help distributing that money, then turn to the U.S. government or turn to the Israeli government that is distributing on the ground the humanitarian aid and be smart about it. Don't just give out money because at the end of the day, when you put your money where your mouth is, when you are taking a position, they gave their money, they put their money where their mouth is. And I hope that people that are philanthropists to these organizations understand where their money is going and how much smarter they can be with every.
But not just that, but not just that, but the fact that where you're talking about, big media, right? There's a lot of small media. There's, JNS is growing, but there's a lot of people with a cell phone and they're doing the same easy connection from an audience to somebody doing media is the same connection that these big donors could have to people on the ground that are doing amazing work.
But you
don't need these big organizations so much anymore.
You're right, but there's people that are disconnected, and you see people that historically have given to universities that have changed the way that they're giving. Since October 7th, people's giving has changed in a very drastic way. Some never gave before to any Jewish organization, and I welcome their donations to whatever organization that they're giving to. They need to ask questions, though, because as a Jew, if you're trying to support Jewish causes, know what your cause is, know what your passion is, and know where your money is going.
Yeah. In my mind, I just don't understand this because I don't know if you can imagine Jews in World War II deciding, well, we are now going to undertake a campaign in order to help the German people. To me, again, I'm not saying the Holocaust was October 7th and whatnot, but I just cannot wrap my head around.
There are many Jews that stood on the wrong side of history during the Holocaust as well. There's many Jews that had the opportunity to save other Jews and they didn't. At the end of the day, that's on them. It's not always money. It's also taking a position. You had Jews that were reporting to the Nazis. You had Jews that weren't letting in the kinder transport. You had Jews that made a lot of mistakes. Not because we're Jewish means we're good and we're kind. We hope that we would be on the right side of history. Maybe they're uneducated and misinformed, so then that's on us as people who are active to be in touch with people who are not connected and try to show them the light and show them how to get connected and where to really be involved in a very proper way.
We are almost out of time, but there's one last topic. And this is based on an article, Gedalia, you wrote here recently that you had published. And you said the following. This is looking at the situation from a macro level. You said, in recent years, we've seen Palestinian flags flooding the streets of London, New York, Paris, Sydney, and Toronto. We've seen mobs chanting genocidal slogans, students praising Hamas terrorists, Western institutions apologizing to the aggressors while abandoning their own citizens. Essentially, if they're Jewish. But here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. This is not a pro-Palestinian movement. It's a civilizational insurgency wrapped in a kafia. Your thoughts? Yours? And then we're going to have to wrap up, folks.
You wrote the article.
Gedalia wrote it.
First of all, the Free Palestine comment from air traffic control, it might as well, I hear, Heil Hitler. Same thing. It has nothing to do with land, has nothing to do with, it has to do with culture, it has to do with civilization. And this is a banner that everybody's waving. And and anybody who's in their home city or whatever it is that sees these pro-Palestinian marches, you show me one flag that is being flown from your host country. And it becomes an anomaly if there even is one. And the point is that this flag represents the undermining and the upending of Western civilization. And if anybody thinks that it's only about land and politics within Israel and the Palestinian Authority or the Hamas, they're going to wake up to a reckoning, because this war with Israel, this is why I'm very clear with my support for supporting Israel from officials around the world. Don't support Israel because it's good for us. Support Israel because it's good for you.
You have the last word.
I say Google what the flag of Palestine really looked like and where Palestine really was. In the British Mandate of Palestine, before 1948, there was a flag, and it was actually the Jewish flag of Palestine. The Palestinian flag doesn't exist. It's a complete invention based on lies. If you look back as to where Palestine was, it was Jewish people. The Jerusalem Post was called the Palestine Post. The flag was our flag. And if people now told a story for a very long time and convinced the world, again, that's lack of facts and lack of education on the ground. This has nothing to do with the Arabs in Israel. There's 2.5 million Arabs that are Israeli, and those Arabs live very well and don't want to be a part of any other state or any other country. I can just say that, again, people don't understand what they're saying, what they're doing. 100%. All it is a call to action against Israel and Jewish people.
No. I'm saying it's and the West. We just represent
100%. But before 1948, you had people, it had nothing to do with Israel, calling themselves whatever they were calling themselves and still killing Jews and hating on Judeo-Christian values and killing Christians, by the way. So in any area that is signaled as Palestine, which to me it doesn't exist, you don't have a presence of Christians, you don't have a presence of Jews, and they're trying to erase Judeo-Christian Western values, and that's exactly what that flag is. It is calling to an end to the Judeo-Christian values and the alliance between Jews and Christians, which, thank God, today is stronger than ever.
Yeah. That's all the time we have on this week's Judaization, but I want to thank you guys so much. The first time we've done an expanded panel here.
When can we do it again?
We're going to do it again.
We have to get more the original Judean roundtable.
We're going to have it again.
Which actually started in memory of Ari Fold. So we should just always take the time.
We're going to keep this going.
To remember him.
He's God. Amen.
Together. Yeah.
Amen. And Gedalia Blum, thanks so much. This has been another edition of Judaization here on JNS TV. My name is Josh Haston, correspondent for JNS News. I want to thank the people behind the scenes, Zach Sickerman, Ryan Lifshitz, our producer Esther Edin, and Yuri Stretsky. Make sure you go to JNS TV for all the amazing programming we have to offer. Go to jns.org for all the latest breaking news from Israel, the Middle East, and the entire Jewish world. We'll see you next week.